We have been far too passive up to this point. I think it's time to do the work. On today's episode of Look Ma, No Soil. Welcome back. My name is Boss. I'm a gardener and a lover of all things spicy. Today we're doing something a little bit different, and we are going to dive into active hydroponics, specifically deep water culture. So I have here an air pump and an air stone. We're going to build a new rig and get something planted. Let's get started. All right, so for this build, we're going to use this 18-gallon plastic tote that I found in the crawl space while I was cleaning it out last weekend. It's not the nicest one. It's flimsy. There's a couple of things like the arches on the inside of the handles. I don't know if you can see it, but they have holes in them. So if I fill this too full, what's going to happen? Water's going to leak out. So that could be a problem. The other thing to keep in mind is that it has a pretty flimsy lid. This isn't real sturdy. And so I'm going to put one net pot in it, and only one, right in this corner here where there's the most support from this outer edge. You're going to need your drill with a hole saw, but wait, there's more. No, for real, there's more. You're also going to need a 1/4 inch, or if you have one, even better, probably like a 5/16 maybe, so that you can drill a hole to feed your air tubing into the container as well. And then, of course, you need an air stone of some sort. These are available at any aquarium, supply store, pet store, etc. They're very inexpensive. This particular shape I've not tried before. We'll see how it works. Usually you'll see them like as a bar or sometimes just as like a little globe. But they're always this kind of porous stone material that will allow air to bubble out in a dispersed pattern. And then an air pump. This is a super inexpensive, ultra quiet. It's still going to be noisy, so heads up. Aquarium air pump, and it's got a check valve here. This is important. Always, always, always use a check valve. This makes it so that air can go out, but water cannot come back in. Water into your pump is a bad time. That's really all we're going to need. I'm going to need to mix up 18 gallons of nutrient solution. I've just finished washing and sterilizing this bin. So first, I will cut the holes in the top that we're going to need. Then we'll fill it up, decide what to plant, and get it going. All right, so we start in this corner just so that we have as much possible support as we can from that edge. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do this as safe as possible. I can hear you. No, I'm not wearing any gloves or goggles. All right. It's caught in. Now let's go forward. Ooh. Wow. This plastic is apparently stronger than my drill, or I needed to turn it to a higher speed, but whatever. That's going to work just fine. Problem solved. So we've got our hole for the plant here. I'm going to go ahead and put the hole for the air supply on the opposite side. That way it'll be closest to the power outlet for the pump. And do a quick test fit. Sweet. Perfect. It's a little snug, which is what you want. You don't want it to slide in and out really easily. You don't want to have a gap for extra light. So good to go. All right, so now we're going to feed the air line into the lid. Pull that through so we can attach to the air stone. And I'm going to do this because I don't want to have to stir 18 gallons worth of nutrients. I'm going to let the bubbles mix them. So I want to get this set up before I fill my tote. All you really have to do here is take the other end of your tube, and there will be an inlet on the air stone itself, regardless of what shape or size you have. Get that nice and tight. You want to push it on all the way in so that you know it's not going to come loose. You're not going to have too much worry about your nutrient solution trying to backfill in either. So now we have our lid and our air stone ready to go. I'm going to put the air stone right in the middle. Hi. I'm going to put the air stone right in the middle of my container so that it's hopefully going to evenly disperse these bubbles. So I need to make sure I have enough slack here. That looks like it's about right. And figure out how I can show you this on camera. All right, so you can see my air stone right in the middle of the container, air line coming out the lid. I will go ahead and set this down and then start filling up buckets. All right, you can see we're here in the grow tent. I am going to fill this in place because when it's full of 18 gallons of water, it's going to be heavy as heck. So I'm gonna get the lid out of my way. Move the pump for now. You want to be gentle with it, just like I was. That's gonna be a problem. Okay. You're probably wondering, why am I filling this with buckets? 2 reasons. 1, I don't have a running water source in my basement. And 2, I need to measure the water I put in. So if I do it in 5-gallon increments, I can get up to 15 really easily, and we'll see where we're at. We'll go get 2 more. 10 gallons. All right, here's the 3rd bucket. I'm gonna go a little slower just in case we get close to those holes on the top of the handle insets. Ooh. Ooh. Did you see that flex? All right, I'm only a little bit nervous. I'm gonna go get a little bit more water just so I can fill it up far enough that I know the net cup will touch and we'll get planted. All right, got the last bucket of water here. Try and fill this up. Got about 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons. And that's gonna take us right to the level we wanna be at, leaving just enough of a gap here for that net cup to sit down into those nutrients. I've got a few floaties in here that are the pieces of plastic from the drill. So I'm gonna scoop those out real quick with a little strainer, and then we're ready to make nutrients. Okay, so I have my container filled. I have my air stone sitting at the bottom of the container, and we're ready to put in our nutrients. I'm gonna grow a pepper, so I'm just gonna start with bloom formula. So I've got my nutrient here, same thing I've been using, the Dynagrow bloom formula, shook up and ready to go. So I'm gonna need 17 dropperfuls to make this work. Here we go. 1, 17. Okay. So I don't want to stir this all, but it needs to get mixed. I'm going to let the air do the work. Hey Google, turn on Garden 2. That terrible sound is the pump vibrating on a bucket. So I'm going to end up hanging this pump because that's the quietest possible installation method. If it's touching anything, it makes those noises you heard, right? So I'm going to grab something to affix this to the top of my tent with while that mixes up those nutrients. While that's mixing, I think we should get our plant ready. I'm going to use a seedling that I had, an extra. This is a habanero. See, I just gave it a good rinse to get those roots as clean as I could, but it doesn't really matter how clean you get those roots. The little bit of dirt won't hurt, but I try to rinse most of that off. And then I'm going to prep a rock wool cube in a slightly different way. So I'm going to take my knife right down the center and not cut my fingers off. You see what I did there? Just opened a little bit of a gap. Okay. My rock wool is dry at the moment. That's fine. We're not germinating a seed here. This plant has roots. So I'm just going to open that up and see if I can do this in front of the camera here. Kind of drop it in. And then guide it towards the center. I want to have a little bit of those roots coming through. And I don't want it to be so deep that the leaves are going to be sitting on what will soon be moist rock wool. So finagle that all the way into the center, and that's ready to go. You can see it's got root coming out, a couple sets of leaves. We'll get this into a net cup and into the system. Okay, got my net cup. I want to make sure to feed that root through the bottom and not just smush it down. So you got to be kind of careful. Get a little bit through, you can help kind of guide it. Rip off the top, no big deal. Plants are tough. I'm gonna go grab something to pull that through a little easier. Just grabbed a little twist tie to help guide those roots through as I push down. Don't want to compress the rock wool too much either, but now we're good to go. Got plant in the net cup. Give it a quick dip. Bottom of that rock wool is saturated, just enough that it'll start uptaking as it sits in. So now we're going to put the lid all the way on. That's what I was worried about. So, because it's a flimsy container, I'll set that in there now. The side's bulged out, so I have to kind of coax it back into its lid. That's only slightly worrisome. Might have to break out the old duct tape. The back clipped on, front clipped on. I probably will grab some tape just to make sure that stays tight because we don't want it to open up and let light in and grow algae. Question is though, does it sit low enough? It does. My net cup is touching the solution, but just barely. The problem with using tape is that it's going to make it harder to do nutrient changes, which is going to be a thing here. So I'll figure something out. I'm going to use safety orange. What is this? International safety orange, something like that. Really bright. Try and hold that down. Doesn't take a lot. I'm really just trying to keep that from bulging out so far that light gets in. So not too bad. And I think one on the other side. In the same way. I'm going to get a little bit of hydrotin to put in here to cover up that rock wool so it doesn't grow algae. Set these guys in here. All right, there we have it. So that is in deep water culture now. We'll see how this takes off. There's a couple of things that'll be different about this system. I'm going to need to be checking the pH significantly more often. It tends to fluctuate more when you're pumping that air through. It usually rises. I'm also going to need to maintain that nutrient level. So I will be topping this off with additional bloom formula as it starts to drop down. I want to make sure that we actually keep those roots submerged in this case. We don't need so much of an air gap. While we're in the tent, we may as well take a look at the other plants. You can see the Red Robin Micro Dwarf Tomato is going ham. This guy has a bunch of little tomatoes on it, looking awesome. I've got another one that's about a week behind, also putting on fruits. Really, really happy with how this tomato is growing in a 32-ounce mason jar. And of course, back here we have our Numex April Fool's pepper. This thing is exploding with flowers, and we've got at least one fruit. So really, really excited. By April Fool's Day, this is actually going to have peppers on it. They won't be ripe yet, but pretty cool. And just a quick sneak peek at some of these other ones. So the Hangzhou #1 Corona, also full of flowers. I haven't seen any fruit start to set just yet. Any day now. The Kangstar Starling is doing pretty darn good. It's really starting to fill out. Lemon Spice Jalapeno looks all right. Those leaves are a little crinkly, so I need to take a look at it in a little bit more detail and see what's going on. I think it might have just gotten too hot in here. Same thing with the Pumpkin Spice Jalapeno. Kind of crinkly leaves, kind of looks like heat stress. We'll see. And here is just some of the peppers that I have started, as well as some of the tomatoes that I have started for the outdoor grow season. These won't go out for more than another month, but I'm hopeful that they will grow happily in these trays. So there we have it. That's how easy it is to build a deep water culture system. You can also do recirculating deep water culture, which is a bit of a different beast and might be for another episode. You can see we had to do the work. So I got a little sweat going. We filmed this in about an hour's time to compress it down into that. It's warm today, which is awesome. Spring is in the air. And I'm looking forward to next episode where we hopefully will have ripe tomatoes to eat. So next week we could have a little salad, right? We could have lettuce, we could have tomatoes. I'm not going to eat one of those peppers until it's fully ripe. And they're an ornamental pepper, so it'll probably taste gross, but these are the things we do for the love of gardening. If you want to keep tabs on that deep water culture system, go ahead and follow me on Instagram and subscribe to this channel on YouTube. On Instagram, you can find me at Boss Grows. And on YouTube, well, you're already here. Just hit the subscribe button. Hit the little bell and you won't miss a video. I've got a ton of stuff coming this year, including a series I'm really excited about. I'm growing the alphabet of peppers. So stay tuned. We will be back very soon. Until then, thank you for watching. This has been another episode of Look Ma, No Soil.